Chapter 2 build 0 to 1 Peter Thal, and chapter is Man and Machine. Its mature industries stagnate. Information technology has advanced so rapidly that it has now become synonymous with technology itself. Today, more than 1.5 billion people enjoy instant access to the world's knowledge using pocket-sized devices. Every one of today's smartphones has thousands of times more processing power than the computers that guided astronauts to the moon. And if Moore's law continues, APAC, tomorrow's computers will be even more powerful. Computers already have enough power to outperform people in activities we used to think of as distinctively human. In 1997, IBM's Deep Blue defeated world-class champion Gary Kasparov. Jeopardy's best ever contestant Ken Jennings succumbed, succumbed into IBM's Watson in 2011, and Google's self-driving car are already on California roads today. Dell on hard GR may not feel threatened by them, but the Guardian worries on behalf of the millions of chauffeurs and cabbies in the world that self-driving cars could drive the next next wave of unemployment. Everyone expect computers to do more in the future, so much more that some wonder 30 years from now, will there be anything left for people to do? Software is eating the world. Venture capitalist Mark Anderson has announced with a tone of inevitability. VC Andy Kessler sounds almost gleeful when he explains that the best way to create productivity is to get rid of people. Forbes captured a more anxious attitude when it asks readers, will a machine replace you? Futurists can seem like they hope. The answer is yes. Ludists are so worried about being replaced that they would rather we stop building new technology altogether. Neither side questions the premise that better computers will necessarily replace human workers, but that premise is wrong. Computers are complements for humans, not substitutes. The most valuable business of combining coming decades will be built by entrepreneurs who seek to empower people rather than try to make them obsolete. Substitution versus complementary. 15 years ago, American workers were worried about competition from cheaper Mexican substitutes, and that made sense because humans really can substitute for each other. Today, people think they can hear roast parrots' giant shocking sound once more, but they trace it back to server farms somewhere in Texas instead of corporate factories in Tijuana. Americans fear technology in the near future because they see it as a replay of the globalization of the near past. But the situations are very different. People compete for jobs and for resources. Computers compete for neither. Globalization means substitution. When Perot warned about foreign competitions, both George S.W. Bush and Bill Clinton preached the gospel of free trade. Since every person has a relative strength at some particular job, in theory, the economy maximizes wealth when people specialize according to their advantages and then trade with each other. In practice, it's not unambiguously clear how well free trade has worked. For many workers, at least, gains from trade are greatest when there is a big discrepancy in a comparative advantage. But the global supply of workers willing to do repetitive tasks for in extremely small wages extremely large. People don't just complete to supply labor, they also demand those same resources. While American consumers have benefited from access to cheap toys and textiles from China, they have had to pay higher prices for the gasolines newly desired by millions of Chinese motorists. Whether people eat shark fins in Shanghai or fish tacos in San Diego, uh, they all need food and they all need shelter, and desire doesn't stop it. Subsistence people will demand even more as globalization continues. Now that millions of Chinese pigeons are finally enjoy a secure supply of basic calories, they want more of them to come from pork instead of just grain. The convergence of desire is even more obvious at the top. All oligarchs have the same taste in crystal, from Petersburg to Pyongyang. Technology means complementarity. Now think about the prospect of competition from computers instead of competition from human workers. On the supply side, computers are far more different from people than any two of people are different from each other. Men and machines are good at fundamentally different things. People have intentionality. We form plans and make decisions in complicated situations. We are less good at making sense of enormous amount of data. Computers are exactly the opposite. They excel at efficient data processing, but they struggle to make the basic judgments that would be simple for any human. To understand the scale of this variance, consider another of Google's computer for human substitution projects. In 2012, one of their supercomputer made headlines when, after scanning 10 million thumbnails of YouTube videos, it learned to identify a cat with 75% accuracy. That seems impressive until you remember that an average 4-year-old can do it flawlessly. When a cheap laptop beats the uh, supply of labor, demand of resources, globalization, other humans, technology, better computers, substitution, the old flat, the old is flat, most complementary, mimetic consumer competition. Machines don't demand, all value goes to people. When a cheap laptop beats the smartest mathematicians at some tasks, but even a supercomputer with 1600 CPUs can't beat a child at others. You can tell that humans and computers are not just more or less powerful than each other, they are categorically different. The stark difference between man and machine mean that that gains from working with computers are much higher than gains from trade with other people. We don't trade with computers anymore, then we trade with livestock or lambs, and that's the point. Computers are tools, not rivals. The differences are even deeper on the demand side. Unlike people in industrializing countries, computers don't yearn for more luxurious foods or beachfront villas in Cap Ferrat. All they require is a nominal amount of electricity, which they are not even smart enough to want. When we design new computer technology to help solve problems, we get all the efficiency gains of the hyper specialized trading partner without having to compete with it for resources. Properly understood, technology is the one way for us to escape competition in a globalizing world. As computers becomes more and more powerful, they won't be substitutes for human beings. They will be complements. Coming to the next, complementary business.